Coming up on Your Money and Your Life, how people are buying investment properties with superannuation. Should schools teach financial literacy? Tips to manage your higher education debt. Plus, in Kochie's Budget Challenge, we help new parents, Phil and Pam, juggle baby, business and budget. G'day and welcome to Your Money and Your Life, the show that's all about saving, spending, investing and enjoying your money. My mission is to help you make the very most of every dollar. Today we're kicking off with Kochie's Budget Challenge. Every week, with the help of the team at Compare the Market, we show real families how to find better deals on their biggest bills and save potentially thousands of dollars. So let's meet Phil and Pam from Melbourne. Over the past few years, Phil and Pam's number one baby has been their business, an animal rehab clinic near the Dandenong Ranges. Then, little Jonty came along. Now they're juggling life with a newborn, a small business and a mortgage. Let's see if we can help. Thank you for having us, team, and Jonty, thank you for being so good. Tell us about yourselves. You guys are in a real balancing act at the moment, aren't you? Sort of new business, new baby. How you going?
Life's been a whirlwind the last 6 months. He's 6 months old and new business about 2.5 years ago, and it's just challenging.
And financially, has it put a strain on the family?
It has, definitely. Going down to one wage for whilst Pam's been on maternity leave. We've been pretty fortunate though. We've got the business to keep money coming in, and then I'm also working full-time as an electrician, and then Pam's a veterinarian.
About 2.5 years ago, we started Canine Hydro. So we work with mostly dogs, but post-surgical rehabilitation. So we have an underwater treadmill for hydrotherapy, and we do land-based physio, laser therapy and massage as well.
Just seeing the changes in dogs, they can't walk when they come into us, and then they've been coming for 2-3 months and they're starting to walk again.
That's fantastic. So new business, new baby, that is a juggle. How do you cope? How do you organise yourself?
We don't. No. It is a juggle, and we're getting into a new routine. Sort of now, I guess, working around different work hours, and if I'm at work, Phil's home looking after him, and we're very lucky we've got a supportive family to give us a hand with that as well. But yeah, Phil's working full-time as an electrician, and then on the side he's doing all the business side of things for our small business. So he does all the paychecks and the finance and pays all the bills and gets everything sorted.
So you can be the vet.
And I can be the vet, yes. Yep. So yeah, I'm only in at the moment 2 days a week, but doing lots of admin all around on the other days. So
you are the business. She is what makes people come to our clinic. So we're very fortunate that Pam's very skilled in that way.
Where have you found the biggest difference in terms of cost increases and the like? What's been hitting you hardest?
Groceries.
Yeah.
Groceries are expensive, and now there's nappies, which you think, oh, it's not that much, but every couple of weeks when you're spending an extra $60, it's a lot, or if not more.
Have you had to adjust? Sacrifice?
Yeah, sacrifice. We used to love going out to cafes, and once a week, even more sometimes, going out for dinner. That's out the window at the moment. We might go out maybe once a month.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If that.
Groceries, we've really cut down. We used to try and, especially for him, I like to look at buying, organic or nice produce, but now it's like, okay, we'll just get smaller amounts of things, or we don't, we do our online shop, so you don't waste money buying things that you don't need. Certainly we try not to spend haircuts and nails and that. We don't really spend money on clothes or anything like that, but we've had to cut back in a lot of ways.
After looking into what we've been spending, we've managed to just refinance, but that's taken us this whole year. That's going to save us a small fortune every month.
Yeah. Great you've refinanced. Let's see if we can find you a bit more money.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
You can get out for those romantic date nights on a more regular basis.
And a babysitter as well.
Yeah, a babysitter as well. Let's go in and have a look at them.
Perfect, thank you.
Nobody likes to think about it, but what happens to your superannuation savings after you die? It just gets rolled into your will, right? Well, actually, that's wrong. Super is not automatically considered part of your estate. Without a binding nomination, your super fund is obligated to decide where the money goes, which can be a headache for your loved ones. By making a binding nomination, you legally direct your super death benefit to be paid to your chosen beneficiary. This could be your dependent, such as your spouse, any child, or anyone financially dependent on you at the time of your death. Or your legal personal representative, such as the executor of your will or administrator of your estate. Surprisingly, many Aussies have not made a binding nomination in the event of their death. If you fall into that category, reach out to your super fund to make sure your super goes to the right place. Don't leave it to chance. Make sure your super supports your loved ones even after you're gone. After the break, the growing way Aussies are buying investment properties. Welcome back to Money and Your Life. Well, did you know that more than 2.2 million Australians have an investment property? That's about 20% of taxpayers, according to the most recent tax office data. A growing number of investors are choosing to buy property through their self-managed super funds, or SMSFs. So to tell us why, I'm joined by Kat Mapasua from Impact Lender Wealth. Kat, good to see you. So Kat, why an investment property in an SMSF?
Yeah, well, look, as we know, Australians love property. This allows Australians to be able to leverage their super contributions, which they wouldn't be able to access until retirement age usually, to purchase property.
What are you seeing in the market?
So the data from the ATO is showing that 1.1 million people are looking at SMSF to purchase an investment property through. So that is half of the statistics that we just talked about in regards to people buying investment properties. Previously, people haven't been able to take control of their super funds and have had to wait till retirement age to be able to access those funds. Now this allows people to be able to leverage off the property industry as well and see the growth that we're seeing in property prices.
And they have grown pretty well, haven't they?
Yeah.
But what should you consider when buying a property for your SMSF?
Yeah, so when considering the lender, it's best to have a look at a lender that specialises in SMSF lending, like Wealth. This is a niche product. The Big Fours and the second-tier lenders have pulled out of the space in the previous months and years. So you need to look for somebody that specialises in that.
How can you be sure the SMSF is performing?
So with your SMSF loan, I would recommend that you're reviewing your rate. Rates have been inflated with other lenders. Big Fours, second-tier lenders have added a 2% inflation previously. So it is really important to...
Well, rates have gone up 2%.
Yeah,
because they don't want to be in the market.
Yeah, well, they've sort of seen it as a high risk. When you specialise in SMSF lending, you just consider it as a property loan, right? That's secured by a property. So whether it's your own home or whether it's an SMSF, at Wealth we consider both and specialise in that. So we're not so worried about risk.
Yep.
Keeping your finger on the pulse with your rate is really important, looking at refinance opportunities and making sure that you're shopping around as you would with your own home or your own investment property.
I suppose that you should be doing it through your accountant as well and getting advice from them, because managing those SMSFs, you've got to keep within the rules, don't you?
Yeah, of course. It's really important to have somebody administrating your self-managed super fund alongside you.
And I suppose you can't use the bank of mum and dad and put a property in your SMSF for your kids.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah, there are quite some heavy regulations around self-managed super funds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So get some good advice.
Correct,
Okay.
get some good advice.
What does the process look like to refinance?
A lot of people are quite worried about refinancing. You know, it sounds like a bit of a headache having to get all your documentation and everything together again. With Wealth, we've actually created a product to help ease this. It's called the Easy Refinance product, and limited documentation is required, and we won't need to take into consideration any of your personal income or personal liabilities and assets.
Okay. Oh, that's good news.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, good to see you. Thank you for that.
Thanks
Appreciate
so
your
much.
time. In this week's Word on the Street, we asked whether you think schools should teach financial literacy.
I think it would be really great if schools started including financial literacy in their curriculum.
Schools should definitely teach financial literacy.
I think it's essential to teach it in schools.
I kind of had to learn it myself, YouTube.
My parents definitely shaped my idea of how to control money, but at the same time I'll use it in conjunction with my own research online.
In our day we didn't have it, so it took me a while to understand it.
I think exposing kids to the different ways that money can be made would be really helpful.
They should learn the appreciation of money, how they earn it, what they have to do to get it.
Like at the beginning, I have no idea what I'm doing, but then, you know, a year or two goes by, you try different things, you figure out your strategy, and yeah, of course, you'll figure it out.
And I worry about young people because I think it's going to be really tough, especially buying a house. So it's probably even more imperative that they learn about money.
Coming up next on Your Money and Your Life, how to manage your higher education debt. Welcome back to Money and Your Life. Now, around 3 million Australians have a student loan debt with almost $80 billion owed to the government. And this debt has been increasing due to indexation. In 2005, the average HECS or help debt was around $10,000 and it's now jumped to over $26,000. Plus, the average time it takes to pay off these student loans has risen from around 7 years to nearly 10. So, what's the best way for you to tackle this debt to put it behind you? For more, I'm joined by financial planner Claire Mackay from Quantum Financial. Claire, what's the impact of having a HECS or help debt?
So when you do your personal balance sheet, you forget about it. It's not in front of you, it's not on your bank account when you log in, it's one that the ATO manages for you. So for most people, they actually forget that they've even got it. So when you come time to borrowing, the lenders don't forget about it, they know about it and they will include it in your obligations and therefore reduce your borrowing capacity.
Okay.
Plus, it also grows. So even though you may not be thinking about it, it's still growing, as you said, with the indexation. And
of course, a lot of people say, oh, it's only index, there's no interest payable on it. But with inflation running at 4% and in the past 7%, that's a big increase, isn't it?
Yeah, so when inflation was in the RBA's 2 to 3% and actual inflation was much lower, it was a no-brainer. Just let it pay off as you get your salary increases.
Don't need to pay it off.
Yeah, just don't worry about it. It's a great low-cost loan for increasing your ability to earn income. But with inflation jumping and wages not going up at the same rate, that's where the crunch has happened. So indexation happens on the 1st of June every year, and a decision to put some money into your HECS or help has to happen sort of early May because there are cut-offs. You want to make sure that you don't put it in after the indexation date.
Okay, so it is worth paying it off.
If you've got the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that?
Well, it comes down to the regular savings. So if you're saving for a home and you've still got this HECS debt or help debt, the question is, do I put the money towards that or do I keep it for my deposit? It's still going to be counted. So maybe putting it towards your help debt can then show a lender that you've actually got the discipline of paying down loans,
right.
And that money can be rediverted to their loan and the HECS can continue on as you would when you do have a loan. But it does come down to having the discipline to have the money set aside. For some people, the luck of life, they've got a family that can help. So for some families, they look at it as a family debt and it might be better for their overall wealth to help out their family members. But for those who don't have that luxury, it is all about discipline of savings.
Does it affect your credit rating?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It's mainly in relation to buying, it's mainly in relation to buying a home. Yep. Your credit rating is about whether you pay on time, whether you pay your ATO debts, whether you pay your credit cards, whether you have buy now, pay later schemes. So it doesn't affect your credit rating as such. And the credit rating is only as important as going for a larger loan anyway.
So if you've got a lot of personal debts and say buy now, pay later, outstanding balances and the like, do you tackle those first as your most expensive debt and leave HEC/help to a bit later?
Well, the beauty of the help scheme is that it's managed through the ATO. So your employer is actually taking the money out every time they pay you because you've told them you've got a help debt. And if you don't tell them and you get around to doing your tax return, there's a lot of trouble. So telling your employer you've got it, they automatically take the money out in the calculations, which means the money you get each year is taking into account that payment if your income is above a certain threshold. It's always best to pay off those personal loans, which typically have a much higher interest rate.
Yep, absolutely. Great advice as usual, Claire. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Andrew Baxter from Australian Investment Education, and here's our stock of the week. Xero offers cloud-based accounting technology, typically for small businesses. Whilst its shares have been on a solid run for the past 12 months, we see further earnings growth and upside in the stock as the business focuses on a deeper relationship with its existing customers. Plans to expand in North America will likely provide earnings growth that drives the stock even higher. Very much a case of buy high and sell higher.
After the break, in Kochie's Budget Challenge, new parents Phil and Pam's energy bill shock. Can we find them a better deal? Welcome back to Your Money and Your Life. Well, let's return to Phil and Pam, whose nappy expenses have gone through the roof with little Jonty joining the clan. The experts at Compare the Market have had a look at their bills to see if we can claw back some nappy cash a whole lot better than nappy rash. The team at Compare the Market have been through all of your bills. Now, remember, these are just thought starters. First up, home loan. As you were saying, you've just refinanced it literally yesterday. Reduced the rate on some of those loans by almost 0.25%, which is great going.
Yeah.
That'd be a great relief. And you've extended the loan as well to 30 years,
yeah,
which
back
is
out to 30 years.
Yeah, affected your repayments. How important was that?
Yeah, for our day-to-day living, having money every week, we can hopefully start saving instead of just living from paycheck to paycheck.
So that's been the big one. And
Certainly.
you've got an okay rate.
Yeah.
So keep revisiting it
Yes.
every 6 months or so, and with interest rates hopefully dropping over the next few months, that you can be a real beneficiary of that. Your other big one is obviously energy bills. Little Jonty, lots of washing.
Yes, never ending.
Lots of heating and cooling
Yes.
to keep Jonty comfortable. To offset, really should be shopping around for a better deal. What you might not know is that after about a year, all the old discounts and incentives that you negotiated up front on your energy bill usually expire on the electricity and gas plan. So keep going back, because the Compare the Market team found some options that is 31% off the Victorian default offer.
Wow.
And they've estimated for an average amount for a Victorian family of 3, you could reduce your annual electricity spend by almost $850 a year.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's
Wow.
pretty huge.
With your gas, again, we've assumed that you use the average amount of gas for a family of 3. Reality is a bit different. Your bill suggests you're more like a 4-person household than a 3-person.
Yes.
Probably because you've needed to keep Jonty warm.
And we have 2 dogs that
The
like
duck
to
to
be
be.
warm.
2, put a blanket on them. Will you? There are plans with cheaper rates that could save you even more. So we found one that could reduce your annual bill by an estimated $300. So that's a fair bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
huge.
So the big savings are your energy, gas and electricity. Could add up to more than $1,000
I bet.
just by those
Yeah,
changes
that's
to the
huge.
bottom line.
Yeah, yeah.
Couple of phone calls and you saved yourself $1,000.
Yeah.
That'd be
Compare the Market sort of is very understanding of where you're at as a couple at the moment. You need date nights, you need a babysitter. So they'd like to throw in $1,000 cash so you can have a few nights out, pay for a babysitter.
You knew that?
And Georgie, give your parents a break. Fair enough? Okay, so
That's awesome. Thank you.
thank you for having us, and hopefully this helps ease some of the pain.
Thank you very much.
It's been so great.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Money and Your Life. For all the latest money investment news that you need to know, go to ymyl.com.au. And while you're there, subscribe to my free email newsletter, which is delivered to your inbox every Friday. Thanks for joining us. Next week on Your Money and Your Life, an app that helps kids learn how to invest. How to set yourself up to afford the aged care you want or need in the future. And in Kochie's Budget Challenge, one Melbourne couple gets an eye-opening insurance overhaul.